and welcome to Tea Time, the first weekly update of Denizen Survivor Season 5, Beyond the Stars. It's just me today, Sarah. So, let's get started at the very beginning of our season with marooning. Very exciting. Of course, our castaways were split into two teams, and they were allowed to name themselves, which continually seems to be a bad idea. One tribe named themselves the Ursa Majors, which is nice, on theme, and the other tribe named themselves the Roaring, Quacking, Honking, Vengeful Hydras of Death on Pluto, also known as the Hydras, or the Key Smash tribe, because it certainly looks like a key smash. So, on the Ursa Majors, we have Ethan, Lily, Aurora, Eliana, KT, Max, Juan, Tori, and Drew. And then on the Key Smash tribe, we have Robert, Zach, Julia, Faye, Peter, Shiza, Baker, and Colin. Already, we see people emerging as, leaders in their tribe, especially on the Ursa Majors, Ethan, Max, and Lily.
Spectators.
Okay. The people who didn't show up are kind of fake unless they had a reason for not being here, then they're not fake. But if they didn't, they are.
I mean, my team's nice. I don't really hate any of them yet.
Okay, they weren't doing much work, but it's the thought that counts.
Of course. On the Vengeful Hydras of Death on Pluto, Robert is definitely coming out as a leader in the tribe.
On my team, I hate all of them. They're awful.
Yes.
In this challenge, the Ursa Majors won Best Flag, although the name of the Hydras was certainly very creative. So they won an advantage in the Galaga Challenge, which was the next challenge of the season. So it was the first mobile game challenge, and the Ursa Majors won, with Aurora having the top score. And so that led to the first tribal council of the year, or the season, with Peter being voted out, because he just kind of left the server, which implies not wanting to play anymore, and is also just generally against the rules. So if you're watching this in the future and you think about joining Denizen Survivor, don't just leave the server in the middle of the season. That'll just get you immediately eliminated. So he was immediately eliminated, meaning that there was actually no voting. But, it works, It's very anticlimactic, though. When are we going to have a good tribal, man? So then we had breadcrumbs, hosted by Thomas Badgerman, as a way to, get the newer castaways, the freshmen, who don't really know how to use Discord very well, kind of ease them into it so they know how to use commands and stuff. So castaways had 2 days to complete this challenge, which was a little nerve-wracking considering none of the Hydras made it to the end until there was a day left. They started it and then they didn't do anything else, while the Ursa Majors were just zooming on ahead all the way to the end. At the end of the challenge, of the little breadcrumbs, it was revealed that the actual challenge that people were being judged on was 2048, which is a personal favorite of mine, and the highest score would win for their team. And because the Hydras started late, they had a lot of people who did not make it to that final step, and therefore the Ursa Majors won, because, as I said, a lot of the Hydras didn't really get a good score or a score at all. And then in Tribal Council 2, we saw Shiza get voted out almost basically unanimously because she did not know how to use Discord and didn't seem to have the time to learn, and so she just didn't ever really talk to her teammates or use her confessional or do anything. So they voted her out for inactivity, and she was the first castaway who was actually who didn't just leave the game and get voted out as a result. She went to our new outpost, which is a place where people who have been voted out will have a chance to get back into the game when merge happens, because whoever wins the continual challenges in the outpost will be allowed to return to merge. And she was the first one allowed into the outpost. And then we had a Sudoku challenge, which was just an award challenge leading up to our first in-person challenge. And there was a lot of struggling happening around Sudoku. KT was very confident and then realized she should not have been. lots of distress about Sudoku, and then we saw the Ursa Majors come out on top, with Max having the top score. The Ursa Majors award was that they could pick their first dance in the upcoming in-person challenge, which was Duck Duck Debate. Which I remember very fondly from my season. Duck Duck Debate happened. It was very interesting. Basically, the entire team showed up in both cases, although Juan and Baker came a little late. Debate was whether if Survivor had a theme song, it would be like rock, anthem, or smooth jazz. As the winners of the Sudoku Challenge, the Ursa Majors chose rock anthem as their point to be argued, and the Hydras were to argue for smooth jazz. There was a lot of back and forth. The Ursa Majors were, they tried to argue for using rock anthems using examples of by Queen, but then the other team pointed out that other rock anthems exist, like Thunder by Imagine Dragons, and just the mere association of Imagine Dragons with the Ursa Majors argument was enough for them to lose that challenge. And so the Hydras won, and so we determined that jazz is the Survivor theme song, I guess. And then the second one was discussing whether our wonderful host Mia would be better as an econ major, a computer science major, if she wasn't already neither of those things. And so the Hydras got to pick this time. And so they picked computer science, and the Ursa Majors picked econ major. Well, they got econ major as a result. And so you saw a lot of, there was computer science majors and econ majors on each team who were standing up and saying that she would not be a computer science major or an econ major, she would be based on their own experiences. In the end, it was decided that the Ursa Majors had the stronger point, so they were awarded a point, and so both teams were tied, one debate, one each. So we had to go into our tiebreaker round, which was the craziest one of all, where we were debating if they were going to build a 5th floor on top of Slater, if they should put in a bowling alley or an arcade. The Ursa Majors got to pick again because they won the reward for the Sudoku Challenge, and they picked arcade while the Hydras got bowling alley. Ursa Majors argued that an arcade was more hip with the times, and if you had a bowling alley, it would just be a bunch of old white men playing bowling all the time in the student union. And then on the Hydras, first there was a bit of offense taken because Zach, as it turns out, is a varsity bowler, and argued that not all people who bowl are old white men. And also, where would there be a bunch of old white men on campus? So they argued for a bowling alley, saying it would be a good idea to build community and stuff like that. And that's why a bowling alley would be preferable. But the piece de resistance of the whole argument was when Lily, in her bid to have the Ursa Majors win the challenge, supposedly, argued that the bowling alley is a bad idea because her parents hooking up in a bowling alley led to her being conceived in the first place, which was interesting. It was trying to argue that it's a good thing Lily exists. Lily said she didn't agree with that. It was very interesting, took a turn. So because of that, and in part other things, it was decided that the Hydras would win. And so the Hydras won their first challenge, Duck Duck Debate. And it was revealed later that Lily had been lying about the fact she was conceived in a bowling alley by two 17-year-olds as a way to kind of sabotage her team a little. But why would she do that? Well, let's talk a bit about alliances. On the Hydras, we had a FJZ alliance of Faye, Julia, and Zach. But more relevantly, we had two alliances on the Ursa Majors, which was the Dark Trio, Ethan, Lily, and Max, who were kind of the leaders, and Orion's Belt, which is Eliana, Katie, and Aurora. Eliana and Aurora were the main ringleaders of that, with Katie kind of just being pulled in as a third. And the Dark Trio, Ethan, Lily, and Max, really wanted to get Juan out because he's perceived as sort of a threat, he's not as active, and Ethan just doesn't seem to like him very much. So it seemed like that one of them would go, Ethan or Juan, so they were trying to get him out. So Lily kind of hoped to that little fake anecdote would kind of sway things and cause the Hydras to win the challenge and the Ursa Majors to have to go to tribal council to potentially get Juan off. But will they? Will the Dark Trio succeed in their plot to get Juan off? Or will something else happen? And will the Hydras actually be able to keep up their winning streak after losing literally like every other challenge that has happened so far? Well, I guess we'll have to find out soon on Denison Survivor.